The highest high, first and foremost, I don't think I've reached it yet, but currently there's a few. It's the first time someone called me over to commission me for a large painting for their house. And I was like, okay. And then I threw out a number and they're like, okay. And I knew they were art collectors. And all of a sudden I sold my biggest painting to date. I mean, she was like 7x8 or something for their dining room, like centerpiece. And I was like, okay.
Ruben, that you're about to meet in just a second, he's a dude. He's an amazing dude, someone I really highly look up to and respect. And one of the labels I think I could put on him, and I don't love putting labels on people, but he is an artist. He's an amazing artist, by the way. I absolutely love his works. And something that I am able to really reflect and really that I look at him and I'm like, God dang, I want to be able to have so much of what he's doing in my life as well, is that creativity, is that flow, is that artist of that really self coming out and being able to produce amazing works. There is so much to be able to take from this conversation, especially for me. It comes down to being able to, how do you create the life that you really want? How do you do the work that you absolutely love to impact the world the way that you really want to? And how do you create the life around that as well? That's why I'm so excited to be sharing this episode with you. And where I want to start from today is probably one of the best running starts of any interview and conversation. But how does Ruben become Ruben?
How does Ruben become Ruben? Well, obviously, we're the sum of everything that we've experienced in our lives. All our failures, you add them up, they lead to the successes. So if you get stuck in failing, you can maybe be stuck in that position for the rest of your life and never become your full potential. So one of the things is I'm always trying to elevate the bar. What's next? How do I evolve? How do I grow? How does Ruben become better? You know, it's funny because now everyone talks about emotional intelligence, the buzzword, and authentic and gratitude and this. I'm like, I've been operating out of that space since I can remember. And I strayed away from that. And I went far and I had to go back to it. You know, I went to a workshop and I refound that space and refound the love and the vulnerability and breaking down the armor, because life gets you. And if you allow it to get you, you can get stuck. And honestly, how do you get to this point? You continually say yes more often than no. Say no to things that don't make you feel good and just do what you love. And it's hard to say that because people define that differently. And I like to say, look, doing what you love could be as simple as just raising your kids. It could be as simple as just working out. It could be as simple as in your commute going to work. You don't have to change the world. You don't have to get us to Mars. You don't have to be the president. Just be the best version of yourself you can possibly be. And I think people really get stuck in that. And they think they're not enough, or what they're doing is not enough, or creating an impact. But if you're the best mother or father to that child you're raising, maybe that child's that next person too. So they couldn't have gone that without you being the best version of you. So I'm just trying to be the best version of me. And that's how I'm continuing to move forward.
Now, so much of the time we look up at amazing people just like Ruben, and in so many interviews, in so many conversations, we hear about all of the good stuff they're doing, which is amazing. But also I want to know, where is the lowest low? What have you been able to do? Because I've got to be honest, I think it's quite inevitable that it is going to be a case that we are going to have rough times. We're going to have times where things suck. So what is the difference between the people that get stuck there to the people that are able to move through it? And that is where I want Ruben to share with us.
To share the lowest low, we got to go to kind of the highs. So I went to school to be a doctor, and I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. I was big into sports and things like that, but somehow I ended up in real estate. A buddy said, hey, come try out loans. I made just under 18 grand my first month, and I'm like, okay, I think real estate's the way to go. $18,000, I'm 20 something years old. Come on, next month, 18 something, 19 something, 20, 30, 40, 50. You start making all kinds of money. But like everything else, you know, some things are too good to be true. Or if you put all your eggs in one basket, you can end up in positions of losing everything. And the bubble happened. I lost everything. I went bankrupt, sold houses, went through all my cash to try to pay off all the debt, all these things. So my lowest low was literally moving back home. And luckily I had the opportunity to move back home. But trying to climb my way back out of that, having no credit cards for years, rebuilding my credit, and realizing that you just got to keep moving forward. I could have easily been stuck there. I could easily be there now, right now, still. Why did it happen to me? And I've seen it. A lot of people fall into that trap, but I didn't. And it's because I continue moving forward and evolving. That kind of got me out of the hole. But that's my lowest low. My second lowest is when I was stuck in what I like to call Mediocreville. So after rebuilding, I went into financial planning and I did well, took off. Leaders Conference, awards, accolades, all those things. Successful in financial planning, a very difficult business. But I found myself in this particular crux where I had just painted my first mural. I started questioning things because I was no longer motivated by money. Because when I was in real estate, I was motivated by money. Money defined me. What I had, boats and rims and cars and you name it. That's what defined me. And that's not good. Although America kind of tells you, hey, you're defined by, what you have and your material stuff. But I got out of that by losing it all. But then I got into this other business of, it's again, leading you by money. And here, chase the money, chase the money. And I wasn't happy. And I didn't realize I wasn't happy. I was kind of starting to just not want to get up, not get to work. I was like, am I depressed? Like, what is going on? And I don't throw around the word depressed heavy because it's a serious condition and there's a lot of mental health problems in this country and around the world. But it's easy to see why I started thinking that way or why people believe that, because you don't know what else to do. And I was also kind of painting on the side. So when I say Mediocreville, I'm talking about I'm doing good in finance. I have no idea what art looks like or if I could do good at it. I start self-sabotaging finance because I know I don't want to do it. So how else do you get out of something unless you just walk away cold turkey, or you start sabotaging yourself and then trying to see if this can make some money. And then I'm just, for years, I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know what it's like to be an artist. I don't know what that life is like. What's the formula in finance? You go to work, you do the dials, you do the meetings, you close them. You know the formula, you know the math, you know how to make money. This over here is like scary. Like, wow, how do I sell a painting? How does this look? How do I value this? Until I finally just stopped going to the office. So lowest low into this long drawl of like mediocrity, which I think I'd rather just be failing and failing and failing, knowing that I'm trying to move forward, than live in this mediocre zone that kind of just like phoning in life. Life's too short and too valuable to just phone it in.
Now, I've got to be perfectly honest. This next question that I asked Ruben, I asked 100% selfishly for myself, because someone that, I've got to be perfectly honest, has been driven by money and thinking money was the thing that was going to create all of happiness, all of success, all of the problems going away in the world. Well, we know that's not the case, and I hope you know that's not the case, because that's why I partly do this show as well. But Ruben goes straight to the heart of what is it that we should be doing when deciding the work that we should be doing, what we should be doing with our lives, so that we can be doing something that we're proud of, so that we admire within ourselves, and it's not about the money.
It took a little bit of work. It's a lot of self-realization and self-awareness. My wife, then girlfriend / fiance, as we moved along that pendulum, had a big role in it. And then just realizing that as I kept doing it, there was little wins and successes, and just owning that. So it really came down to the conversation I had with myself. I was like, look, Ruben, stop being a bitch. You've always been able to operate at abundance. You've always been able to create money. I've been hustling since I was a little kid. So like, I knew that there was skills in operating out of abundance, but then I was stuck in scarcity. I was thinking, I don't know what that's going to look like. But then scarcity permeates everything. So it self-sabotaged this. It was sabotaging everything, because now if you're operating out of want and need and fear, you're not going to succeed. You're not going to be open to what's possible. And I just said, look, Ruben, you know how to be abundant. Stop being a bitch and go do it. And I stopped going to the office. I don't know if there was one very specific moment. I can tell you a couple of moments that led me to it. I mean, at one point, I also write poetry and do spoken word, and don't do a lot of it publicly, but I had an Instagram account, and my wife was like, look, I'm a big fan of this poet. Like, your stuff is just as good. You're sharing it with me all the time. Like, start an Instagram account. It quickly got up to 5,000 followers just by posting a little poem every day. So that was like, okay, well, I know I could do that, and look what happened there. Or the fact that people were starting to want to buy things. They're like, oh, how much for that? Or can I get that? Or can I get that? So that was another moment. The ultimate aha moment, I think, really comes down to me deciding it. It wasn't, there was a moment or a sign that said, hey, come over here, you're going to be good. It's really when I said, look, I'm just going to do it.
Now, I think it's really important for people such as Ruben, these people that we look up to, these people that we see, and to be able to have them expand our minds, expand our beliefs, importantly. And when I asked Ruben, what is your highest high? His answer was really cool.
The highest high, first and foremost, I don't think I've reached it yet, but currently, there's a few. It's the first time someone called me over to commission me for a large painting for their house. And I was like, okay. And then I threw out a number and they're like, okay. And I knew they were art collectors. And all of a sudden I sold my biggest painting to date. I mean, she was like 7x8 or something for their dining room, like centerpiece. I was like, okay. So that was a really good high feeling. And it's just, there's moments all the time. Like this year I did a National Taco Bell commercial and I got to paint my stuff. And I said, my line was literally, my dreams are unstoppable, while I'm painting my own artwork. Then I had another TV spot where it was do what you love. It was the mural I painted, and it was all about doing what you love and showcasing that. So that's another moment, you know, being able to speak about this, or being called to like talk around to different companies and different places and share the story. It's always, there's always a high. It's hard. It's hard to say what's the one moment, because just the fact that someone will order a t-shirt from me is a high, or a sticker. So, I mean, I don't rank one higher than the other. It was more so, yeah, that first painting really clicked out because that was like a really big commission. And now these two back here are for some people that are going to be shipping out. So it's those little moments, or just now I beat out a really prominent artist on a mural that's huge. I didn't even know who I was competing against, and then they just told me, "Oh yeah, you won. Here's who you were competing with," and I'm like, "Okay, that's awesome." So that then takes me to another level. Every time I'm just starting to think all these little things add up. But honestly, I don't think I've reached the peak yet.
Now, take a breath with me. Ask yourself this question. Why is it that you don't have the life that you really want? And I know this can be a little bit upfront when you're being real with yourself, but this is why I asked Ruben to actually really peel back and for us to go straight to the point of why are people not being able to achieve the success, to achieve what it is they want, to achieve the life that they want. And I really believe this is an amazing answer from Ruben.
I mean, one of the things I like to say is, like, with my work, I want to elicit an emotional response in a human. I want you to live and look at the world through the lens of love. Literally, put on this lens, check love. What's the opposite? Hey, I have to sit in traffic for 3 hours to go to this job I hate. Oh my God. So yeah, that's a reality. Well, what are you doing about it? But in the meantime, you can say, look, I get to sit in traffic. I'll do some audiobooks. I'll learn. Maybe I'll listen to some podcasts of something that I want to do on the side, because I get to go to work to earn a paycheck to feed my family. So it's the same problem. You just word it a little bit different, put a positive spin on it. So now you're looking at it through love and abundance instead of fear and scarcity. So I kind of want to show people that they have a choice and they have an opportunity. The other thing, it's never too late to reinvent yourself. If you're 65 and you want to go do something, you still have life left. Yes, it's much shorter, but why are you waiting? At the end of the day, you're here for a finite amount of time. Go do whatever you want to do with it. Ultimately, aside from like putting yourself into like bankruptcy, trying to do a bunch of dumb things, but Not relaying it back to my bankruptcy issue is a little bit different. But like some people are serial like chasing dreams, but like they're not really real. At least put a little bit of reality behind it and what you can do. But at the end of the day, you have a choice. The way you write your story, the way you pen it, it's up to you. And stop phoning it in. You have one life. What are you going to do with it?
So if you're joining us on the podcast, then I highly suggest you go over to the YouTube channel, because we shot this episode actually in Ruben's artist den, in his workshop, in his whatever you want to call it, where he creates his amazing works. And you'll see that his actual works are incredible. I absolutely love them. But the thesis, so much of the theme of what it is of his work is love. And so that's why I wanted to actually ask Ruben, why is love so much of the message of his work?
Because it's the foundation of everything. So there's an exercise. Imagine the first time you're going to go in and kiss this boy or girl. What was the physical reaction your body took? You probably got an elevated heart rate, a little bit of sweat, goosebumps, nervous, moving around, jittery, right? You're going in, it's like, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Right? That's how your body's feeling, fear. But you're going in to do a kiss, which you're operating out of love. Now, what about the first time you were maybe put in a dangerous position? A fight, you're about to get in a fight, or you were going to go on stage for the first time and talk, or something. What does your physical reaction of your body again? Same thing. So physically, we kind of operate the same, whether it's one or the other. So humans are meaning-making machines. We want to put meaning out of everything. Mercury's in retrograde. Oh, come on. I don't even want to go there, but like, oh, that leaf fell crooked. It means something. No, at the end of the day, you're either in love or you're in fear. And then that leads to abundance and scarcity. That leads to you choosing if you're happy or not, because we choose it. Only we can make ourselves happy. And once you love yourself, that's when everything happens.
This conversation with Ruben has just been absolutely incredible, and I want every excuse, and I want to be able to beg, plead, ask, do what I possibly need to be able to sit down with Ruben again. So if you do have any more questions for Ruben in the next conversation, in the next interview, please comment below and I'll be able to bring that to him. But I want to be able to finish this conversation off by asking, what does success feel like to you?
It's funny because I've defined success multiple ways. In the past, it was a diamond encrusted watch, 26-inch rims. It feels like it looks. Now, what's it feel like? It feels like you're doing the right thing. It feels like you're shifting humanity. You're moving the pendulum forward and making the world a better place.
Thank you so much for joining myself and Ruben in this episode. I hope you've been able to take so much out of it. I know I have, selfishly, so I really do hope that you've been able to as well. Now, if you're joining us on YouTube, then please click like, but comment below. Let me know what you've been able to get out of this episode, and let me know what you want in future episodes as well. If you're joining us on the podcast, then I would highly suggest that you leave a review. That helps us be able to get into the ear holes of more people to be able to share this message. But I want to hear from you. What is it that you're really enjoying and getting out of this episode and out of this show? And what do you want in upcoming episodes as well? Because I want to create this for you. This is us being able to come together, because I'm a huge believer that a rising tide lifts all ships. So if you haven't subscribed to the show, please do so, because I don't want you to miss out on all of the great stuff that's coming up for us. And as always, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you spending the time with me. It means an absolute ton. So thank you. I really am grateful. And I'm looking forward to having you with us in the next episode.